Hi, this is Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, and I'm here today to talk to you about esoteric information for Libras. And like all my little videos, this could mean you have a Libra sun sign, a Libra moon sign, rising sign. You could have a lot of planets in the 7th house of your chart, which is Libra's house. You could have a really strong Venus sign, which is Libra's planet, and you're going to relate to some of these messages about Libras. Well, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, you know that Libra is the scale, and the point of balance in a scale is called the fulcrum, and every scale has that balance point. And so much about being Libra is about establishing equilibrium, and especially when you're on a spiritual path. That is the esoteric need for Libra, is to be able to establish emotional equilibrium, and also we'll talk about be able to make decisions and take actions on those decisions, because that's how your soul needs to evolve. A lot of times Librans have a lot of problems with crisis, and it can be a small thing that feels like there's a crisis. And just remember that as a soul that's growing, your spiritual guides, God, the universe, however you want to see it, uses anything in your life to help you strengthen your soul. And so things that might seem no big deal to other people are could be a big deal to you. And it's going to create this, conflict inside, or this energy of being out of balance, because you need to learn how to come into balance. So the universe is going to give you situations that cause you to feel kind of extreme, to then learn how to come out of that and be that fulcrum. Instead of woo, these ends of the scale, you're the middle. No extremes. But there are ways that you can help your soul and help the universe. And some of these are kind of basic things, but I want to talk about them because they're really important. I've seen over the years for Libra. Diet is really important for Libra. Excuse me. Extreme type foods really need to be avoided, or substances. Caffeine, coffee, sugar, extreme diets, weird eating times and stuff. I find Librans are best because they often deal with hypoglycemia, and then, could be diabetes if you let it go too far with not having good health, diet rather. Since Libra is about balance, the blood sugar, just I've noticed over the years, it's something real important for Librans. It ties into the emotions, it ties into feeling crazy and unable to make decisions and all that. So if you're eating regular meals, I think it's important for Librans even to have more than 3 meals a day, so that they're kind of constantly nourished. Not eating extreme type foods, minimizing sugar, processed foods, caffeine, those sorts of things. Making sure you get enough protein and fat, because your body tends to burn carbohydrates real fast, and it's best not to eat them alone. I've just noticed over the years for people do better when they're not in a low-fat, low-protein situation. Not that you want an Atkins thing, but something where you have that evenness, because fats give you a sense of calm and helps the body evenly metabolize the food, rather than having just like a bowl of sugar with low-fat milk. A bowl of sugar cereal with low-fat milk and a cup of coffee for breakfast or something. So do yourself a favor and start, Libra people, to work on your diet and eating well and respecting your body. Because when your body's in balance, it's easier for your mind to be in balance and your moods to be in balance. Okay, next thing, I think of Libra as a squirrel. When you're driving, the squirrel is going to cross the street. And then, maybe it's not. It is. And then, what happens to the squirrel? Well, first of all, they're anxious all the time, or they get squished by the car. The car's like, where's the squirrel going to go? What's going to do? You need, as a Libra, to create minimal craziness in your life, learning how, and we're going to talk about making decisions, but making decisions, and once you make that decision, stick with the action and go forward. No running back and forth across the street. The squirrel will be much more serene if it just knew when to go and went and did it, So cutting out some of that frantic stuff in your life. Okay, let's talk about the decision-making stuff. this is something, I am an Aquarius, that's my sun sign, but my moon sign and my rising sign are Libra, and I have a real prominent Venus sign, so I consider myself very much an honorary Libra, and I've dealt with all the ups and downs. And I was going to say before about what the universe uses for you to grow spiritually. Relationships, I have so many Libran people call me for sessions or come by, and then they say, I know it's not all about relationships, but I think, Libra, it is. For you, it is all about relationships. Learning to interact with people, learning to balance your needs against theirs, and conflict resolution and needs and collision that happen within relationships. Very important. And especially romantic relationships are huge for Libra. We can't get around it. But relationship issues, body image issues, things about your looks, social issues, meaning how you're interacting with people in groups and stuff. It's those real important springboards for your soul to be able to grow. So don't think they're stupid. I have to accept my body or this and that. That can be an enormous spiritual piece for you. You don't have to go out and do something profound. This is profound for your soul because you came in as a Libra, and the universe can work to make you a spiritual master, just overcoming things about relationships, body image, etc. if you're a Libra. So don't minimize those things. Say, let me grow. How do I grow with this? By experiencing self-love and self-acceptance. It's one of your parts of your path. So, okay, now I want to talk about decision-making for Libra. A number of years ago, 15 years ago or so, I remember I was in this relationship that was, looking back, was pretty bad. It wasn't horrible, but it was not making me happy, and I just didn't know, to leave it or not, and oh my God, what am I going to do? So I decided, someone told me about doing a pros and cons list, and I thought, well, that's a good idea. But I made it a little more detailed than that, and I want to pass this on because it helps a lot of Libra people when I talk about this. Okay, so for my situation, it was, I did a pros and cons list if I stay with this guy. Then a separate pros and cons list for leaving the guy, pros and cons. And I wrote the list out, pros for leaving the guy. I wouldn't have to put up with feeling bad about him not calling me, whatever. The cons, I won't have a boyfriend, or, I'll be lonely, or da-da-da-da-da. And the pros and cons list for not leaving. The pros, well, he'll be in my life still. The cons, maybe I'm settling for this situation. I could do something better. I might never know if I don't leave it, da-da-da. So, yeah, I wrote the list out. But Libra is an air sign, in the head, thinking. And sometimes just the writing, it was better than just thinking, writing it down. But I took an extra step, and I went to the mirror and pretended I was talking to my best friend, who's real supportive of me and someone who really listens to me, and I trust her. So I'm pretending, okay, I'm talking to her, and I'm pretending it's 6 months from now. And I took that first list. It's 6 months from now, and I made the decision to stay in this relationship. So I read everything on my list in the past tense to the mirror, looking in my own eyes. It's been 6 months, like say, here it is October now, say, it's May, and I stayed with so-and-so, and I only see him once a week still, or whatever it was. And the cons, I remember one of them I wrote, I was lonely, but I got over it. And I saw that in my own eyes, and I was like, that's pretty cool, felt a little empowered. Then I went to the other list, the pretending I didn't break up with him, and I didn't leave the situation. And I read that as if it was 6 months in the future and I had stayed with him. And I remember, I got to the part that said, I had written down, I stayed with him and I knew I could do better than this in my life, the situation, because I wasn't having enough care from the person, and I don't respect myself. And I remember there was something about seeing it in my own eyes in the mirror and knowing I had made this choice. And when I said that, I remember I felt so choked up and so humiliated looking in my own eyes, I had to look away. I could not look in my own eyes and say, I stayed in this relationship that I knew wasn't good for me, and I don't respect myself. And it was like, whoa. I knew that was the decision. I couldn't get away from seeing my soul be so sad, and I almost feel choked up remembering it. It was like, Oh, because you know, Libra, you can be like, oh my God, what'll I do? I don't know. I'll call this one. I'll call that one. Maybe I should. Maybe I shouldn't. Oh dear, I'll never have another boyfriend or another girlfriend, or I'll never have another job, or whatever. It was like, oh, I have to do it now. I know what it is. I can't live with the other decision. It's not even a choice over here. I can't. And I found that works for me a lot. You could use that for leaving a job, not leaving a job, going back to school, not going back to school, treating your child in this manner or the other, having better discipline with the kid, eating healthfully, not eating healthfully. And look in your eyes and think, here I am, or say it was a health issue, 5 years from now, I got a bad illness because I didn't give up, binging on sugar products or whatever it would be, with going to school again, selling a house, moving, anything, because Libra, it's a lot of energy in this squirrely behavior. And when you can get your soul and go, boom, this is it. And by the way, I also meditated before I went to the mirror to do that and just said, God, help me be open to whatever is going to be here. So that is a real important technique, I think, because then when you make a decision and take the action then, because Aries is your opposite, Libra. Aries wants to take the action. Libra wants to think about taking the action. You've got to go take the action. Then your soul can move on. You don't have a lot of energy tied up and, oh, what if? And having that confidence, I know what to do, and I did it, and I respect myself. It's real important for Libra to have that self-respect and not be yanked around by what this one wants or the other one wants. And closing about that, being direct about your needs is real important. Just a quick thing, I think, I know me as a Libra, I might say, oh, that looks like a good movie, instead of saying to somebody, I would like to see that movie. Speaking up about your needs. That doesn't mean you're being pushy, aggressive, but you're stating things clearly so people know who you are, what you want, what you're all about, what your intentions are, and not pussyfoot around and hope they fulfill your needs or hope they know what you're saying. And watching out for, are you couching it in a certain way? Is it passive tense, or is it, this is me, this is what I'd like to happen here? And that doesn't mean you're demanding. It just means you're clear. And that's fair. Another good Libra word, it's fair to interact with people when they know what you want and who you are and what it's about. And then they can say yes or no. And then you can work it out. But it's better than all this mystery stuff that goes on sometimes for Libras. And this is a way, just in closing, to say, handling your crises, being above the drama, and knowing your soul can guide you to make these decisions. And that it might be a good thing to also release this kind of addiction to fretting, to what if, no, I don't know, because when you have tools, like say the pros and cons list and looking in the mirror to make decisions and then take an action, you have a lot of time left over. And that can be kind of nerve-wracking, like what do I do? You're used to all this chitter-chatter in your head and wasted energy. So that can be kind of a big spiritual step, to not have all that taking up your space in your head, and be able to let the universe help your soul evolve, to let God grow in you, that surrender to your soul. And that's a major way that Librans can get that to happen for themselves and be so much happier. Oh my God, I'm so much less exhausted all the time, but I'm pretty good at making these decisions now and being clear and strong. And that is the more esoteric part of Libra, is the sword of justice. Like the woman outside of a the statue outside of a courtroom. She's blindfolded and she's got the sword and she's got the scales. That you've got that. When you are, your eyes are closed, you're into your soul, not personality stuff. You can be fair, even, and that sword of truth. You know who you are. You know what you are. It's a relief. It feels really empowering. So good luck to you, Libra people, and thanks for listening. And I'll do another video next month for Scorpios. Bye.